I got a new computer, so I'm going to try and just do a little test run video with some stuff I've got to prep the A10 for Vintage Torque Fest this weekend. So nothing crazy, but I need to know if I need a new camera too. Hopefully the computer takes care of majority of the poor quality, but this will be the first one I do with it. I just have a few things I want to button up. I have a lot left I need to do to this bike, but I just kind of knock out things here and there. We're going to put the taillight back on and maybe make a little bit better support for the front brake, the front brake stay. The factory one I cut off, so now I'm trying to make one that works and then looks good, which isn't really a good combination. But I made high-mid foot pegs, which I really like, but with that, it does not have the power it needs to actually make the brake operate. I did a really bad job designing this, so I actually know a guy who's got an NOS inner and outer primary cover, and so I'm just going to use those and then run the factory foot pegs and brake. I'd rather just have things that work. This looked cool. It was fun to do. Pissed a lot of people off, which was kind of the point. You know, every guy in his white New Balances told me how I was going to hurt myself. Also, this atrocious orange anodizing needs to be covered up, so I might just paint it. It's an aluminum rod, so I could probably polish it, but I'd rather just throw some black paint on it and call it good. I need to get my taillight back on. I cut away a relief there for the rib on the rear fender, but then forgot to put the guts back in. So I'm gonna rob those out of another taillight and get this thing mounted up. Somebody took the studs out and just punched holes in a bunch of spots, which is fine. It's kind of how I'm gonna mount it anyway, but it is an original Sparto. But like I said, somebody had already punched holes in it, and then the stud was broke off back here, so I use this one. And then I've got the wire's going to be exposed instead of running it under the fender, so I use this braided gold stuff, so it looks a little bit nicer. Got the housing for the bulb to sit in installed, and then 2 new plugs. I prefer these like JDM style, the old school like Honda looking bullets. I don't like Lucas fittings. I don't know anybody who does. But that's pretty much ready, and so now I'm putting the male bullets on the harness side. I don't know how much of this I'll show you because it's not that exciting, but just trying to keep it as clean as possible. I hate those. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than worrying about losing an original Sparto lens because of the world's smallest set screw. But this part's really cool. You can watch me struggle to try and put a nut on the back of this. Might have to. Yes. Got it. Cool. The other day it was finally warm enough to actually start this thing, and it didn't really want to idle. It would stay running if I was messing with the tickler a lot, so I think there might just be some trash in the carb from sitting over winter. I'm going to pop the float bowl off and just make sure everything looks good, and make sure the needle's not clogged or there's nothing in there. So I'm going to try and do that with you right here, but that doesn't leave much room for me to work, so we'll see how this goes. How annoying was that to watch? I'm gonna make some videos next week assembling a 650 unit, kind of replacing some of the other videos I did previously that are low quality. So I think I'll do just kind of the basics of assembly. Try not to get too over the top, but just kind of helpful information, I guess. Doesn't look bad. I'm just gonna blow it out. Make sure everything looks good. Not worth finding out later. It doesn't look, I mean, it doesn't look good, but I didn't really know what I was gonna find, so everything's clear as far as the jets go, but it's just grubby, so I'm gonna clean it all up and then we'll move on to the front brake stay. I'm not a welder. My brother does all my welding. But he's actually a tattoo artist that comes back and does my welding for me. So I did this and I'm not proud of it. It's very ugly. It's not strong, but it was just a really quick kind of mock-up of what I want. Factory would have been a lug on the fork leg and then a steel plate that came down to this nut. And I cut it off for these super long shrouds I'm running. So now I'm trying to use these bottom two fender stays, a compact brace. So I'm going to try and beef this up. It's just going to be temporary. I'm going to have him actually make a way better one for me, or at least weld it together for me. But we've got to make it at least a little bit safer for the short little trip I'll do once we unload it and I go park it with all the other bikes. I got the brake parts back together. Like I said, that's going to get changed. It's just for this weekend, and same with the front brake stay. I just needed it to be strong enough that it would be safe. The trip out of the back of the truck and then up the hill, it's not that far, no big deal. So now I just want to make sure everything's still good with the carb. It wouldn't really run on its own without me messing with the tickler. I did like right up and down the hill, but it still was kind of acting funny. So I'm going to play with it right now and make sure everything's good.